The air was thick with dust and decay as Mark and his friends pushed open the rusted gates of the old asylum. The building loomed ahead, its broken windows like eyes watching their every move. Armed with flashlights and nervous laughter, they stepped inside, unaware of the terror that awaited them. Almost immediately, they heard the first scream. It was faint, almost like a distant memory, but it was enough to make them freeze. "Did you hear that?" whispered Jenna, her voice trembling. Mark nodded, shining his flashlight down the long, dark hallway. The shadows seemed to move, dancing just out of reach of the light. They ventured deeper into the asylum, passing by rooms filled with old medical equipment and broken furniture. Each step felt heavier, as if the building itself was trying to hold them back. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. In the pitch black, they heard it again, soft whispers, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching. The figure's eyes were empty voids, its mouth open in a silent scream. It reached out a skeletal hand towards them. Mark's friends screamed and bolted, but Mark found himself rooted to the spot, unable to move as the apparition drew closer. He felt a cold breath on his neck and heard a voice whisper, "You will never leave." Desperation clawed at them as they searched for another exit. The walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Join us," they seemed to say. "Stay forever." Jenna found an old diary, its pages filled with frantic scrawls detailing the horrific experiments that had taken place within these walls. A sudden loud bang reverberated through the room, and the temperature dropped further. The shadows in the corners stretched and elongated, forming grotesque shapes that moved towards them. Mark grabbed Jenna's hand, and together they ran, bursting through the door and into another endless corridor. In the center of the room stood an old operating table, and upon it lay a ghostly figure strapped down and writhing in silent agony. The room seemed to come alive, with the screams of the past echoing around them. Mark felt a sharp pain in his chest, as if the fear was manifesting physically, threatening to stop his heart. Jenna shook him, her own face pale with terror. "We have to get out of here," she screamed. Together, they turned and ran, leaving the horrifying scene behind. But no matter how fast they ran, the asylum seemed to stretch endlessly before them, trapping them in a maze of nightmares. The spirits surrounded them, their whispers a cacophony of pain and despair. "Release us," they begged, "end our suffering." Mark felt the weight of their sorrow pressing down on him, suffocating him. He fell to his knees, his vision darkening as he struggled to breathe. Jenna's screams echoed in his ears, but he couldn't move, couldn't think. They burst through a door and found themselves outside, the cold night air a shocking contrast to the oppressive atmosphere of the asylum. They collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. The asylum's dark